the process that you can take in order to reclaim your health. This is the Begin Within podcast, where we believe real, lasting health and fitness requires you to start inside before you work out. I'm your host, Nate Slegger, and I'm here to show you behind the scenes of fitness. You already know exercise is good for you, but what about all the other things in life that affect your fitness? If you're looking for extra motivation to get started or to make sure you keep going, this is the place for you.
Produced by BeginWithin.fit.
If you are working on getting healthier, losing weight, improving your fitness, whatever it is, but you have this feeling that you should be getting better results, you're just not sure what you might be doing wrong. Well, I want to tell you, you are not alone. And that is the very reason why I wrote my latest book, 5 Ways You're Wrecking Your Weight Loss, so that you can take a look at 5 of the most common reasons I see that people aren't getting the results that they deserve for all their hard work. Just 5 really quick fixes that can get you headed toward the results that you want. Check it out. You can download it by going to beginwithin.fit, clicking on the ebook button, or clicking on the link in the show notes. Check out my book. Let me know what you think. A question that I get asked quite often is this: what is coaching? What is nutrition coaching specifically? And I think that it needs to be addressed, at least what it means to me. I want to share that with you. You hear on this podcast from time to time that we are talking with a nutrition coach, or perhaps you have heard me talk about one of our nutrition coaching programs. And yet the word coaching gets thrown around a lot these days. And so I want to take a few minutes today and just talk with you about what coaching means to me. And here is my hope for you as you listen to this. Not necessarily that you go out and get yourself a coach. I'm not trying to sell coaching to you today. But what I'm hoping to be able to do is to explain to you the process that you can take in order to reclaim your health. I know that sounds like this big, huge pie in the sky type of thing, right? Reclaim your health. If you feel like you're in a place where you never imagined that you would be in terms of health, fitness, weight gain, weight loss, whatever it is, you want to improve your health. Here is the best way that I know how to help you to do that. It's through coaching. And as I explain the process to you, what I'm going to encourage you to do today is start thinking about how you can use this process on your own, how you can become your own coach in the process of improving your health. Now, where do we start? I want to start with talking to you about a chapter in a book that deals with how to become an expert at something. And this book, I'm going to just pull it up really quickly here for you. This book is called The Talent Code. It's by a man named Daniel Coyle. And he explains in this book that greatness isn't born, it's grown. And he explains in the book how that happens, how greatness is grown. what the circumstances are like, what the individuals are like, who become known as the top talent in their field. What's so interesting to me about the book, and our team read it all together as kind of a in the club, book club type of thing. We did as a staff of personal trainers and coaches to understand the process of learning skills. That's why we turned to the book, and I'm going to share with you a little kind of section so that you can understand the process of how to coach yourself on the skills of becoming healthier or the skills of good nutrition, whatever it is. The same process applies. Because when we say we want to improve our health, I want to be a healthy person, I want to be a healthier person, really what we're saying is I want to be skilled in that area. I want to be talented in that area. And so in order to become that type of person, the process is the same as if you said, I want to be a better motorcycle rider. I want to be a better violin player or football player. Whatever it is, same process. And I'm going to explain that to you. So I'm not one here on sports metaphors. I don't think you've maybe heard me use one in all the episodes that we've had here on the Begin Within podcast, but I'm going to use a section from the Talent Code from that book to help you to understand about how you can become your own nutrition, health, fitness coach. Because the process, whether you have somebody helping you or you're doing it on your own, is the same. So in the Talent Code, toward the end of the book, the author talks about a coach. He talks about a coach by the name of, hold on a second, I had my webpage open and now it disappeared on me, of course, once I hit record on the podcast. Here we go. All the way to the end of the Talent Code. I believe it's one of the last chapters that he deals with. Yes, chapter 10, a coach named Tom Martinez. Okay, and he is a football coach, a quarterback coach, and the author, Coyle, sets this all up because Tom Martinez was approached to help the Raiders at the time to decide which player to hire. They were looking at two different players, and so they brought in this coach, Tom Martinez, to help them to identify which one of the players was likely to be the more successful so that they could go in that direction. Now, the thing that you need to know about Tom Martinez as a coach is that he happens to be the man who coached Tom Brady. Throughout his career, Tom Brady would go back to Tom Martinez to tune up his technique. And you can imagine what those sessions would have been like with, like, arguably the best, one of the best. I'm in Packer country, where I'm sitting right now recording this episode. So I got to be really careful about how I phrase this language about Tom Brady. But let's just say arguably one of the best quarterbacks to ever live. I know there's a lot of people out there that would say he is the very best. This is not a sports show, so I'm not here to talk about that. What I'm talking about is the method by which he got to be so good. And I have no doubt that this is the method that all of the best quarterbacks, the best running backs, the best wide receivers, whatever position on the field we're talking about, this is the way that they got to be so talented, was by having a coach. And not just a coach, right? Oh, there's my coach. He tells me what to do, and so everything's great. But it's what the coach does for the player. And I will bring this all back to you and how you can coach yourself with nutrition in order to reclaim your health. Nutrition or fitness, exercise, whatever you want to do. Here's what the coach does. And in the book, The Talent Code, one of the aspects that's outlined is that Martinez explains how a quarterback drops back, the drop back motion. Okay. And I don't know a ton about this. Basically, the total limit of what I know is in chapter 10 of the Talent Code. Okay. And this is years ago that I read this. But what the chapter talks about is how Martinez, as the coach, helps these quarterbacks to take the process of throwing a football. And we might think, and as we sit on our couch watching football, we might think, oh yeah, they throw the ball. They throw the ball. No. Here's the important thing. Here's what Martinez does for them is he watches them throw the ball, but then he breaks it down. He breaks throwing the ball down into different pieces. Down into like different movements, if you will. And then within each of those movements, there's all these little tiny little pieces that all go together to make up that movement. And then when you put the movement together with the other movements that a quarterback has to perform, you get the throw of the ball, right? And so he can watch a quarterback throw the ball, go through all the motions together, ball leaves his hand, and then he can say, okay, let's stop. Let's look at this part of how you threw the ball. The way your elbow does this thing, or the way your shoulder moves, or the motion of your hand as the ball leaves your fingertips, whatever it is, he can then help that player to zoom in on the one area that he sees is the biggest opportunity for that player to improve the whole in order to throw the ball better, to be better at playing his position. And he has done this for Tom Brady, for example, over and over and over again. The book explains that Tom would visit Mr. Martinez, the quarterback coach, 3 to 4 times per year in order to have him help tune up Tom Brady's throwing. And apparently Tom Brady even keeps a list of those techniques, those tips in his wallet to remind himself, like a quick little checklist to remind himself what's most important for me to focus on in order to do this better. Now, what Tom Martinez, the coach, is doing is, again, helping him to identify the one or two pieces of the whole process that Tom Brady can focus on in order to improve his execution on the field. And that's what a coach does, because they're not living through the process, right? A quarterback could try to improve himself, but there's just certain things that unless you have a trained eye, someone who's not thrown the ball so much, but actually watched other people throw the ball more than he's thrown it himself, that he can start to notice. He can start to pick things apart. And so the quarterback goes to the quarterback coach in order to help him take a look at those parts and how they fit together into the whole, and to find out which one of those parts he needs the most work. And not just, oh, hey, that thing you do right there, that's terrible. No, the coach also says, here's how you can make it better. Here's what you need to do with your throw in order to make it better. With your hand, with your elbow, with your shoulder, with your torso, with your hips, whatever it is. He helps him zoom in on exactly what he can do to make that piece better, and then the whole better as a result. Now, let's go back to talking about health, fitness, weight loss, exercise, nutrition, whatever it is that brought you here to this podcast. Because what I want to explain to you is the difference between someone who makes progress and someone who just kind of tries and is pretty much destined to fail at the process. Those who make real progress approach the process the way that Tom Brady approaches his throwing of the football. And this is what I do with my clients. This is what we do with our clients at Begin Within. This is what personal trainers and coaches all over the world do with the people that they work with, whether it be coaching on exercise, whether it be coaching on nutrition, whether it be executive coaching, whatever the case may be. Coaches have watched people go through the process, have helped people go through the process, of course, more times than they've gone through it themselves, so that they can start to help someone to see what areas they need to focus on most. We're not just showing up and saying, hey, we're working on the whole thing today, because that doesn't work. Hey, what are you trying to improve? I'm just trying to improve everything. That is a guaranteed recipe for failure. If you try to improve everything, I can tell you right now, you will improve nothing. You are likely to stay the same or even move backwards as a result of trying to improve everything all at the same time. So what do we need to do? We need to take one piece of the process at a time. And we've talked about this before here on the podcast. A lot of times we talk about taking baby steps. We talk about, just moving forward one little step. Well, what direction are we moving in? We are picking one part of the process of improving health. And then we're zooming in on that part, and we're picking one tiny little piece of that part to focus on improving that one little piece of that part. And the whole thing, the health, your health, improves. Does that make sense? That's what I do as a coach with the clients that I work with. The others on our team do the same thing. That is the process. Here's the whole. Here are the main elements. Now, as we get to know somebody, we can help them to identify which areas have the biggest opportunity for that individual to make some serious improvements. And whether you work with a coach or not, the process has to be the same for you. Whether there's someone else saying, hey, here's what I see. What do you think? Does that make sense to you? Let's move forward. Or if you're on your own saying, okay, here's the whole process. Here's my health as a whole. What am I going to do in order to move forward? Which part am I going to look at, and which tiny piece of that part am I going to focus on today, tomorrow, this week, maybe next week, in order to move forward? And then what do? We make efforts at improving. We take steps to improve in that area. And as a coach, I can make recommendations, right? Hey, here's how I think you can improve in that area. Here's specifically what you could try to do over this time period in order to make improvements. And then as someone does or doesn't, we get back together after a certain amount of time, usually a week or two, at most a month, and then say, okay, how did it go? Are we moving forward in that area? Did we improve? If we did, awesome. Let's pick something else out. Now what's the biggest opportunity for improving your health that's out there in this whole process? Which part and which piece of the part can we dig into next? And of course, if it didn't work, if it didn't improve, okay, let's go back. Let's go back and look at that piece, and let's try a different way to improve it moving forward. Now, I know that sounds very painstakingly slow, right? Breaking it down into little parts, but this is how it works. This is how we improve. And again, we're making educated guesses based on what we believe has the biggest potential to impact the whole thing. We're not going to try to improve all those little pieces all at the same time. It won't work, but we can focus on one or two at a time. And I promise you, it helps you move forward in some major ways. So whether you are working with a coach or you're doing it on your own, this is the way. This is the way forward. This is the way that you reclaim your health. This is the way that you really make improvement. is by analyzing one part at a time and practicing it, working on it every single day. This is how it works. This will work for you. So I want to invite you as you move forward from listening to this with me today, whoever you are, whatever shape you're in, however you got here, to connect with me on this podcast. We're all here because we know we can make improvement. The question is, what's next? Which little piece of which part in the process of your health will you focus on next? And if that is an overwhelming process for you to start thinking about, here are the parts. Here are the parts that we talk about so often. There are 5 big ones that we talk about. 5 big ones that we talk about in the ebook that I talk about on the podcast so often that you can download for free. The five ways you're wrecking your weight loss. Here are 5 areas to give attention to in your health. Number 1, nutrition. We've talked about that, right? Number 1, nutrition. Absolutely. Number 2, hydration. Number 3, sleep. Number 4, your relationship with yourself. How you're managing stress, for example, things like that. And number 5, connection with others, including education, including being influenced by other people, having other people support you. Those are the 5 areas that I guarantee whatever is waiting for you in terms of health improvement, it is on the other side of one of those parts. Now, within each of those parts, there's tiny pieces that all add up into a healthy approach to that part. Your job now is to identify which part you're going to work on and which piece of that part you're going to focus on in the days to come. Set some goals, set some expectations, track your progress, and watch it improve. If it doesn't improve, learn, adjust, try again. If it does improve, high five, pick a different piece, and keep on working. This is the only way. This is the only way forward. This is the only way that anyone becomes talented, anyone becomes skilled. We are not born. We grow. This is how we grow. You can do this. I am here to support you. I would love to have a conversation with you. You can connect with me on Instagram, linked in the show notes. Absolutely, reach out to me, or you can send me an email, nate@beginwithin.fit. Let's connect. I'm happy to take a look at this process with you and see how you can continue to move forward in reclaiming your health. Thank you so much for connecting with me here on the Begin Within podcast. I can't wait to talk again with you very soon.